I don't know what my opinion is. Oh, I'm tired. Flight 815 crash landed, but where? There's weird jungle noises and a polar bear. What the fuck is going on over there? Helen
and Alex
will guide you through. If you've seen Lost 20 times,
or if you're brand new,
welcome to our show. It's
Dharma Fish Biscuits. Hello and welcome to Dharma Fish Biscuits, your new favourite Lost podcast.
We're your hosts, Helen and Alex. We're going episode by episode, spoiler free, bringing you all the hot takes no one ever asked for.
We are on Instagram at Dharma Fish Biscuits Pod, and also on TikTok, apparently. You can thank Helen for that, at Dharma Fish Biscuits. And you can get in touch with us, and we would absolutely love that. Our email address is dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com.
We also have a Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/dharmafishbiscuits. Join it for free. You will get behind-the-scenes post about each episode and spoilery versions of the podcast.
Yes, since we are two people who have seen the full show, sometimes when we're talking, we make little references or we might talk about something in the context of all 6 seasons of the show. These main podcast feed episodes right here are completely safe for you. If you have never seen the show, we remove our spoilers. You'll hear nothing spoilery. But if you have seen the show and want slightly longer thoughts, including full show context, then you can go to patreon.com/dharmafishbiscuits and find our uncensored editions.
In our episodes, rather than going beat by beat chronologically, we aim to focus our conversation on the character the episode centers around. We handle flashbacks, and then on island business, and then we circle back to cover B-plots and general miscellaneous whatever else is happening.
This week, we've got our first Claire episode, Season 1, Episode 10, Raised by Another.
Spooky.
Can I say, I think this is one of my favourite episodes of Lost.
You can say that.
Definitely up to this point, my favourite.
I don't know how I feel about it, really. I think it definitely, it does have really good stuff in terms of how it moves the whole season along. This is the episode that takes us into very much the next phase of the season.
Yeah.
And there are parts of it that feel really important and really good. I struggle. I didn't feel that fuck yeah, I love this show vibe about it the way that I do about the best episodes.
That's it. So for me, the reason why I love it is because there are a lot of different elements of Lost that all come together to make Lost this beautiful little tapestry that it is. The strand that I personally love the most is the spooky shit. And I feel like everything, this episode is rife with spooky shit. I love the psychic. I love the something bad will happen to your baby. I love the element of predestination and fate. I love that there's someone else on the island. I love that someone wants to hurt Claire. I love it all. I love it.
Cool. Let's get into it.
Shall we get into it? I had one other thing I wanted to say very quickly before we fully get into it, which is this episode was directed by Marita Grabiak. And I was like, I recognize that name from somewhere. Another Buffy lady. She directed Storyteller, one of the best episodes of Buffy, and End of Days, the penultimate episode of the show.
You can't put any episode from season 7 into being one of the best episodes of Buffy. Season 7 sucks. Let's talk about Lost.
Let's talk about this episode of Lost instead.
The Ethan stuff is peak season 1 Lost. It is. But I feel like we've only just laid the train tracks for it in this episode.
Yeah, but I think and this is a big a big thing about Lost, is that sometimes the laying of the train tracks is part of the fun. Not to say that the ending of Lost sucks, but a lot of people will just judge things by the ending, and I think there is some fun to be had in the laying of the train tracks and the excitement and tension within the build-up.
Yeah. Right, let's crack on now.
Yeah, so in the flashback, Claire is doing a pregnancy test, and I thought this was hilarious. I love the complete denial of her boyfriend. I love when she's like, it says there'll be 2 pink lines. And he's like, pink? No, not pink. These are red lines. It's like, come on, my dude. Well, the other thing I thought was very funny was when he's like, these tests can be wrong. They said my uncle has testicular cancer. And Claire says, he did. He's dead. Very good. Very funny.
Fun fact for you who might not know this, having not been in a position to get people pregnant. That's not a burn on Alex.
What? Wow, Helen, just call me an incel and move on.
You generally pregnancy tests come in a pack of 2, and you usually take 2 at once because they aren't like super duper reliable. So it's kind of standard practice to take 2 of them so that you like know what you're dealing with. If they both say the same thing, then it's probably right.
Wow, I did not know that. And you would think with the amount of media that portrays pregnancy tests, the fact that I don't think I've ever seen that happen in media at all is quite stat. Everywhere's like, well, I did 1 test and it says it's true.
I guess like TV writers often don't really care about the reality of women's lives, as it turns out. It was a really strange bit of dialogue, yeah, because then she was like, no, he died, and he was like, yeah, but it was a whole thing, he was misdiagnosed. Oh, I was like, okay, wow, we don't have time to get into all that. Dodgy accent on this guy, one of many dodgy Australian accents we will hear over the course of Lost.
Yeah. I love his paintings, I have to say. There was one in particular, I don't know if you noticed this. There was one that had like, I think it's like 3 faces, and they're really like elongated faces that look like they're screaming, and it says hello underneath
I paid
them.
absolutely no attention to this man's paintings. Didn't even notice them. Couldn't identify them in a lineup. Sorry to this man.
I thought they were very cool. Anyway, Thomas convinces her that they can keep the baby, they can raise it, and he's really like, idealistic.
Maybe this is the best thing ever.
Lost isn't the only thing with dodgy accents.
I'm doing an impression of his dodgy accent. That's not my best Australian accent. That's just my Thomas.
I see. The next one, Claire's friend takes her to see a psychic. Claire's friend, I absolutely love her. She is the campest thing that has been introduced in Lost so far. Like, she goes from having like absolutely no expression on her face whatsoever and just like completely gormless to like these hugely hyperbolic, exaggerated ones. My favorite bit is when they're leaving at the end and she says, "What a freak." That absolutely cracked me up.
I thought it was funny when or like not funny but really weird and unmotivated when they were on their way in and Claire was like, I don't really know if I want to do this, like I don't need some psychic telling me how to live my life. And her friend is like, it's not about what you need, it's about what's fun. I'm like, what part of this is fun? Like, you just like rocked up at some random guy's house. You're going to pay $200. Like, what? Where's the fun?
She sort of has a valid point because she's like, you know, you like all your astrology shit. And I'm like, yeah, Claire does like her astrology shit. I do think there's only like a short skipping a jump from astrology to psychic readings.
Yeah. I 100% buy this guy as an Australian psychic. Just his like doughy face really read to me as like, yeah, he fits right in this role. I buy it.
Anyway, so he gives her this reading, and like it almost felt like a horror movie when it's like so quiet and tense as he's like holding her hands, and there's like the tiny little subtle strings as he's like, I'm sorry, no. I can't do this.
Yeah, I actually think he does a good job in this episode. Like, for as much as we can joke about the accents and stuff, his reaction feels very real and like not part of... It would be very difficult to watch this episode and interpret him as being a fraudster.
Well, in the watching this episode, I believe him, and I believe him because of the sort of like about turn he does of being like,
you have to get on this plane.
No, I'm not doing this, and then being like, oh, you can go to LA, you have to get on this flight.
Yeah.
And it's the fact he's like, it has to be this particular flight.
So is it something as simple as this? He's a fraudster who, through the power of the island, was compelled to actually be like given psychic knowledge about Claire when Claire specifically shows up for the reading. So in every other reading he's ever done, he's defrauded people. But Claire specifically, he does have access to some kind of like
This
truth.
is like how I read it, is that he's generally a fraudster, but this was, whether it was the power of the island, whether it was like a genuine psychic moment, who knows? Because also like the way he looks sort of shocked that he has seen something, and when he takes her hand, he's like he talks about the baby and is like, oh yeah, do people know, and like he's very like nonchalant about it, completely fine, and he is taken aback. So I think that it is just a complete surprise when it comes. Okay, so he gives her the money back and is like, nope, we're not doing this. I'm not reading your future. I can't do it. Here's your money. Thanks, bye. And that's
It's very abrupt and very...
What a freak.
What a freak.
So we go back to Claire. She's at home. Thomas comes home. Claire hanging some drapes. Second drape shout out on the show.
Drape klaxon.
Thomas tells her, it's not working. I can't be a dad.
Fucking Thomas. Can we talk about... Leaves. Let's talk about Thomas. We need to talk about Thomas.
I hate him.
The way that he tricks Claire into staying pregnant.
Yeah.
For so long.
This
so
was the
that
thing. Like,
when
it's literally his idea.
When he changes his mind, it's too late for her to have an abortion. I was like, that is literally like some kind of torture. That is so cruel and so like sociopathic, like as just a way to treat another human being.
Yeah. He's the one who said they could do it. And then he's the one who turns around and says, you did this. You were supposed to be on the pill. You think I don't know what you did? Like, sorry, she was saying you had to get rid of this baby.
He hits her with the heterosexual man special, which is to say, this isn't working. Come on, you knew that. It's the old, but you also agree with what I'm saying. You know, right? Like, you knew this wasn't working. And she's there like, what the fuck are you talking about? We're having a baby. I hate this fucking dick.
I hate him so much.
The way that she was like, you know, she points out, as you say, he was the one to suggest that they keep the baby, and he was the one who was all for it. And he goes, yeah, well, now it's real. Is that your whole defense? Is that it?
It's real for Claire. She's got a baby inside of her.
Truly. And then he goes on to say, oh, now I get all your daddy abandonment crap. It's like, well, you're abandoning her and you were going to be the father of a child. So, yeah. You're going to get that.
That is the definition of daddy abandonment, actually.
Good grief. What a dick. Hate this guy.
Anyway, then she goes back. She goes to see Richard Malkin again. And she's like, I do actually want to know what you saw. Which, like, I don't blame her. I have a feeling. I don't believe in... I have a real trouble believing in psychics and mediums and, like, any of this sort of nonsense. But if someone was doing it and then said to me, actually, no, never mind. We're just going to leave it there. Have your money back. Bye. I'd be like, well, you can't just leave it there.
Of course, you'd be like, well, I don't believe in psychics, but this guy knows something.
I need to know now. This is when he tells her that she has to raise the child. Danger surrounds the baby. It's so spooky and intense. And then she gets up and she's like, I don't know. It's kind of funny that she goes back to be like, yeah, I definitely want to know. Here's the money. And then when he's like, it's so scary, she's like, okay. And then she just gets up and has to leave again. Like, you did come back to find out what he wanted. You presumably weren't expecting him to say something else. And she gets her money back
from him again, even though he answered her question. The things that he is saying are things like, it's crucial that you raise this child. It's about, it has to do with her goodness, that her goodness has to influence this child. The child is surrounded by danger. It's funny because one of the things we've talked about Claire so far is the way that she is this like beacon of light and like a real sort of like a real source of light and innocence in the group. So the fact that is part of her story in this way is kind of interesting.
So yes, then he is then phoning her. we presumably then go like
all
several
hours
months
of the
in
night.
the future.
Yeah. He's not giving this up. He's telling her day and night.
No, so because when she goes to see him, she's still like flat stomached, and then when we next see her answering the phone in the middle of the night, she's it's obviously like not long before we see her on the flight, so that's like a good 7 or 8 months. Has he been phoning her every day since then? Because she does answer the phone in a very expository way. Is like, I've told you, you need to stop calling me.
Yeah. I definitely think he's been calling her for months. Not every day, but like regularly and at very irregular times, it would seem. What was it? She has one line that really made me laugh, but I didn't write it down. Oh, yeah. And he says, if you don't do what I'm suggesting, great danger will befall. And she replies, hey, great danger will befall you if you don't stop calling me in the middle of the night. I was like, that's just funny. That's good.
Yeah, he says he has a plan, and she's like, no, fuck off, I'm giving my baby up. So we see her meeting with her the prospective adoptive parents, signing it. I thought it was interesting that she says her dad used to sing her Catch a Falling Star.
Yeah, and we now know that her dad has abandoned her because based on Thomas's dialogue. So I do think it's interesting that she has a memory of her dad singing this to her and wants that to be something that is like continued.
If Thomas is implying she has abandonment issues from her dad, then if the one thing she remembers is that he was singing to her before he abandoned her, then I guess it makes sense that she would be like holding on to that as like a nice memory of like before times. Anyway, she goes to sign the paperwork, and this is another thing I really like in terms of like the sort of fate and predestiny, the fact that the pen doesn't work. So then she gets another pen, and that pen doesn't work, and just like having so that time to it's like A, having extra time to reflect and be like, is this what I really want? But also B, taking it like, is this a sign from above?
Yeah, it's the universe telling you like, you're not going to sign this. You're not supposed to sign this. I loved it too. I thought it was classic Lost shit. And also the music was so good in that scene.
Yeah. I also love like the way it's played, the sort of like awkwardness where there's like no real dialogue. There's just a lot of sort of like, I've got another, no, it's not working. Like it's just this like awkward.
Yeah, and there's the tension because the prospective adoptive parents, once this signature is on the page, then it's real, then it's really going to happen. And you feel for them, but at the same time you're like, you can't make someone like give away their baby when they don't want to. Like,
yeah,
sorry.
It's really hard because like the mum especially is like getting up and seems like sort of angry at her, and you're like, I get the anger, but also like, yeah, you can't force someone to do this if they don't want to give their baby up. Like, yeah,
the mum has an even more terrible Australian accent. She's not giving us the Australian no, she's giving it like a no, or some kind of like other sound that is really far away from the word no.
Anyway, so then Claire goes back to see Richard Malkin and is like, okay, fine, what do you want? And this is when we get the final piece of the puzzle. We know why Claire is on this plane. He's tells her that there is one couple that she can give this up to, a lovely couple in LA. They'll take care of him. They'll make sure he's raised correctly. She's going to get $12,000, but she needs to get on this flight. Which
we also know is less than she was going to get from her adoption in Australia, because they said that they were going to give her $20,000 additionally after the adoption went through. So it is very strange for her to like believe him enough to be like, oh sure, I'll get on this transatlantic flight and I'll put myself through all of this just to appease this crazy man, even though I'm going to get less money out of it than I would have done.
I don't think she did it to appease the crazy man. I think she believes the crazy man. Do you want to know a crazy fact?
All right.
Him saying it has to be this flight 815. That is the first time we have the flight number in the show.
What?
I know. When I read that, I was like, that cannot possibly be true. And I haven't fact checked it, but apparently it is.
That is so bizarre, because one of the things I was thinking during this episode was like, wow, these people really remember their flight number in a way that I never have. If you're talking about what flight you're getting, you would say like, oh, it's the 348 to Dublin or whatever, you would never ever like memorize the flight number. And I was like, crazy how all these people are going around saying flight 815. But wow, like iconic, welcome to the show, iconic legend flight 815.
I think that's everything we've got. Do you have anything else to say about the flashbacks? I just love them. I love it. I love the ambiguity as well. I love that it's not particularly, like, it's not completely set in stone, even though it's obviously very heavily weighted that he knew. I think
that last beautiful bit where, you know, obviously, like, I'm referring to things happening on the island now, but as Claire thinks back to the conversation she had with him, and it sort of like sinks in for her that like he knew the whole time, and like that's what he gives you, the like weird stomach feeling, and it really makes you like tingly, like lost feeling. That was a high point for me. Love that.
Okay, you know what else is a high point for me? Claire's dream on the island.
Oh yeah, that shit was spooky as fuck. I didn't take any detailed notes about it because I was like, I'm sure Alex has got this covered.
So she's having this dream. The baby is screaming, and Locke is sat at his table. He's playing cards. He's saying spooky things. He says, he was your responsibility. You gave him away. Everyone pays the price now. And then he looks up, and he's got one solid black eye and one solid white eye. And it's terrifying, and it's creepy, and I love it. And in the original script, he was then going to repeat, everyone pays the price now, and scream it at her. And I just think that would have been so fucking cool.
I think it probably would have been way over the top, but that's why they didn't do it. Like, when I try and actually imagine that in Terry O'Quinn's voice, I'm just like, no, that's a little too far. Like, it's very spooky and atmospheric to give us the return of the backgammon things.
The one light, one dark.
Yeah. But I think that's more than enough.
Well, to each their own. She finds the crib. It's got the oceanic mobile. I didn't even realize this until Connor said it, but the mobile is like a solid plane, and then it like splits into three pieces as it spins round. In the same way that the plane split into three.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
I totally missed Connor. That. Yeah. There's a puddle. She looks under the covers. There's a big puddle of blood, and then she wakes up screaming. And I'm just like, I absolutely adore that. I'm a big horror guy. I love horror movies. I love a spooky dream. I love like the uncanny valley type thing of like Locke being there, but with his eyes being two different color, like solid colors. Just so many great visuals, and like the puddle of blood. Just absolutely wonderful. I love it so much.
And she's following the cry of her baby. This episode brings us the first instances of Claire's classic line, "My baby!" We're going to hear it a lot. She's following her baby's cry, and like, obviously her baby hasn't been born yet, so we're already there. There's this tension of like, there's a future element. She sees at one point like a little kid running through the forest at the distance. I think we're supposed to interpret that also is her child, like in the future, that she's trying to run after.
When she wakes up, her screams were absolutely insane, and I was genuinely concerned while rewatching this episode that people outside would think something terrible was happening in our house. Because like the TV was right next to the window, and she's there for quite a prolonged time, like this blood-curdling scream. And as people walking past, I was like, I promise everything is fine in here. So yeah, Jack tells her it's a hell of a nightmare.
Jack has a moment where he's actually funny, which is like, you have to stop and appreciate it when it happens. I hate to have to walk my opinions back, but this time I have to hand it to Jack. He's talking about sleep talking, and that he you know, you say all sorts of things in your sleep, and he had a girlfriend once tell him that he was sleep talking, and he don't know what he said, but she didn't like it.
Connor talks in his sleep, but luckily he just says nonsense, so I don't have to worry too much. Like when he first started doing it, I was like, I wonder if he is saying his subconscious thoughts, and should I be listening to this and just taking some notes? But no. Most recently, he asked me, "Is it Frosty McNuggets or is it a blue baboon?" I was like, okay.
Deep insight into his psyche there. Yeah.
Anyway.
He asked if she's like eating well, and she's like, "Oh yeah, boar and bananas." I thought that was amazing, just as like a sort of like, this is where we're up to on the kind of island wheel of nutrition situations. Like, so long as you're getting your boar and bananas, you're good.
I actually missed that. I heard her say it, and I was like, I don't know what word I thought she was saying like boring bananas
or something,
and I was like, I don't know what that means.
But also there was this really silly bit it was just there to transition us back into the flashback when Jack says, "Oh, how far along are you?" And then as a follow-up question says, "What was the day you found out you were pregnant?" Which is like, Jack, you're a doctor. You know that's not how people date pregnancies. It's about like how long since like the start of your last period, which I could go into a major rant about that being how pregnancies are dated anyway, but I won't.
But also, what does that matter what date she found out?
No,
the
exactly.
Other question
it's
he
like,
asked
well, I found out on this date, but that's when I found out I like my period was already 6 weeks late, so then I was maybe a month long or however far. Like, it's such a nonsense question, and it's only there to send us back into the flashback that is the day she found out she was pregnant. And I was just like, this is cheap writing. This is like, you could have done so much better.
Charlie goes over to Claire and she's writing in her diary, and I sort of hated this. He like sort of mocks her and is like, "Dear diary, still on the island. I swallowed a bug." And it's like, she literally just woke up screaming with blood on her hands. So like, I'd say journaling, perfectly valid response to that if she wants to maybe process some of her thoughts.
Yeah, no, I didn't like Charlie doing that. And I also was like, I would also be writing in my diary if I was on the island, because that's like,
I was going to say, Helen loves a journal.
Yeah, famously. There would be like the one little piece of normalcy that you would have to be like, and also like what a gift to be able to actually chronicle the things that were happening to you as they were happening, and not have to rely on your memory for all this like weird, supernatural, suspicious, crazy stuff that is going on.
Yeah. Or even without the supernatural stuff, like 5 years' time when they hopefully get off the island, being like, that must have been absolutely insane. I would love to like read what it was actually like. I think it sort of has happened with people collectively with COVID and lockdowns as well, of people being like, what was it actually like day to day? Even though it happened to us, we sort of like, it's so far removed from normal life that you can't even really think about what happened.
I feel like I use my diary in that way quite a lot of the time as like a sort of, it's like a fact-checking thing, to being like, I have my memories about X event, but what did I actually say about it at the time, and what did I experience, how did I experience it then? And often it's like, you look back on an event that might have been really significant for your life, and I go back and find that date in the diary. I haven't even mentioned it at all because I was thinking about something else. Like, but yeah. No, my main worry would be that the diary would run out and I wouldn't be able to get hold of another one, and so I would
have to start writing on leaves.
Yeah, I would be writing like really small to make sure that I would be like conserving the pages. But yeah, fuck you, Charlie. I do like that he brings her a cup of tea and is like, makes a comment about how, oh, we have to be civilized amongst all these Yanks or whatever he says. It's just like, yeah, we're both tea drinking peoples. We understand each other.
Oh, I found that incredibly cliched and cheesy. I was like,
yeah, you don't
sure,
drink tea.
He's British or whatever. Did you notice what they were drinking out of though, Helen? A plastic teacup. Goodbye cut off water bottles.
Yeah. Although that's crazy that he managed to rustle up some like teacups.
Well, they famously serve tea on planes.
Yeah, but they normally do give you in a fucking like paper cup.
Do they?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know. As mentioned, I don't drink tea. Do they not give you because they were like really tiny cups as well. So I assumed they were just like the cups they serve tea and coffee in.
Maybe standards were different in 2004 and you could still get a decent cup of fucking tea. But they have this conversation where he's like, I think about you in... That's not his accent.
Pick an accent, any accent.
I'm going to stick with my accent. He does this thing where he's like, I think about you in this place without your family, your friends, and I could be your friend. And it's like, I don't know, like, it's like maybe 50% trying to hit on her, 50% genuinely sweet. And I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm like tending towards genuinely sweet, but I'm also like, it's come right off the back of him like low-key negging her about her diary. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Charlie.
I mean, I think it is nice that someone is paying attention to the fact that like she's in a really vulnerable situation, heavily pregnant with no support network around her at all apart from fucking Jack. And the idea of being like having to have that experience on your own without friends or family around you, and he's like got, you know, fair play to him that he is actually expressing some kind of empathy. But she clearly interprets it as being a bit of a come on, and she's like, I can't really do this right now.
Yeah, which is
and
fair
we also have the introduction of the classic Claire line read, which is, apart from her baby, is also Charlie. There's her two real one-hit wonders. Charlie, my baby. Oh yeah, and also just that it's kind of funny, but also in a good way, that like Claire isn't constantly being quizzed about the identity of her baby's father. Like, you sort of would think that in this situation where nobody knows each other, people would be like, well, hang on a sec, why were you traveling alone? Where's your like partner?
I was going to say, or even where has anyone even, because also, do they know she's traveling alone?
Oh yeah, like, well, I mean, she did host a funeral for all the dead people on the plane, so like it would have come up.
That's true. She might have mentioned if one of them was her dead husband.
We're halfway through the podcast. We talk a lot, we know. Why not take this time to write a review? It helps more people find the show. Or pop us a little email, or simply tell a friend. We're gonna need some listeners if we're to make it from the pilot to the end.
Okay, so we go to the next night and we get this, I think, another great sequence, some great editing of like she like wakes up, there's a hand over her mouth, there's something like slicing her belly, but it's all cut like so fast you can't really see what's happening, which I think is like another kind of cool way to like implicate a dream without it actually being a dream, of being like there's just like snatches of what happened and we sort of get a vague idea.
But it's very different to what we as the viewer saw in the last dream sequence, which was like a whole extended dream sequence.
Yeah.
So I think you can interpret that like this is real and that was not, if you choose to.
If you choose to. Then she wakes up, she's screaming, and this is when Jack, and for some reason Michael is there. I don't think he even says anything, he's just like watching them while
We
Jack
got woken
is
up,
like,
didn't
what's
he?
going on? But 3 people in the scene.
Oh.
Jack, Claire and Michael.
Oh.
Shall we?
Shall. 3 characters in a scene. You know what that means. It's time for Fuck, Marry or Kill. Fuck, Marry or Kill. Fuck, Marry, Kill. Claire, Jack, Michael. Okay, I want to marry Claire, clearly.
Yeah.
How could you not want to marry Claire?
I think it's got to be. Yeah.
And I want to kill Jack, so I'll fuck Michael. Done. I'm sorry, Jack. He doesn't really deserve it. But I've had to like variously marry. In fact, actually, I don't think I've ever had to marry Jack, but I've had to fuck him a few times. So I'm gonna take my chances where I can.
I think I'm gonna stick with you as well. Based on this episode, Jack is being incredibly patronizing, and I would not like to marry patronizing Jack. So I'm going to kill Jack as well. We're going to fuck Michael.
That's
Sorry
fine.
for Michael. And Claire's getting double married. Great stuff. There we go. That was a nice clean one.
I was thinking it was crazy how, and very convenient for the story, how she doesn't see her attacker at all, doesn't have any sense of what they look like, what they were wearing, which way they went.
Well, is that true? because, I mean, I guess I don't know whether we want to talk about this now or at the end, but when she sees Ethan at the end, no one says anything that implicates anything bad, but she immediately is like frowning and looking really uncomfortable to see him there. And I was wondering if perhaps, because we haven't really seen him interact that much with people on the island, we know he went hunting with Locke last week, and this time he's just like on his own shaking some bananas out of a tree. Maybe she just hasn't encountered Ethan during the day, and if you're Ethan, maybe you're consciously avoiding where she is so that she doesn't get to like know you too much. So maybe when they meet at the end, she's like, hang on a second, this is coming back to me, and is like piecing together that he's involved.
That would make sense, but I feel like he pops up like quite soon after she's had her like distressing, screaming, waking up moment. He pops his head up among the group and is like, I can't remember what I don't think he's necessarily speaking directly to her, because I remember thinking like, oh, that's a bold move for you to like show up after just that
would be quite a bold move.
She has no like visible response to him being there then. Maybe it's more the fact that like at the end of the episode, Charlie has run into Ethan and said to Ethan, go and get Jack. And then we know that a bunch of time has passed. So maybe off screen, Charlie said to Claire, like, oh, it's so weird that Ethan's taking so long, or like weird that Ethan hasn't found Jack by this point or whatever. You know, also he's a fucking creepy as fuck dude. I mean, honestly, I've been such a hero in these last couple of episodes where we've been seeing him to be like completely poker face in front of my partner who's watching Lost for the first time and being like, I have no emotional response to this character.
This is simply an extra.
Like, ha, ha, ha. How has it been for you?
It's been fun. So Connor immediately was like, this guy's weird. And I was like, well, you're not wrong. I simply couldn't comment on him. Okay, so Jack sends Hurley and Charlie away to see if they can find who attacked her. I don't really know what his plan there is. Like, are they expecting to find someone like walking around visibly looking like they've just attacked?
I guess like, yeah, it's a very good question, because I was thinking about that when they're like, oh yeah, we searched, we walked the whole perimeter, we didn't find anything. It's like, what were you expecting to find? Like, it would be one thing if they had established that there are other people on the island and therefore it could be someone else who had, you know, are they looking for someone outside of the group? That would make sense. Or are they just looking for someone wielding a syringe? I don't know. It doesn't quite work, does it?
No.
But anyway.
Anyway, we will catch up with Hurley later on. So then Jack is talking to Kate and Charlie, and this is when he really steps into his patronizing doctor role, and he's like, oh, it's just stress, it's anxiety, she might trigger an early labor. And then good for Charlie, he like does defend her and is like, tells Jack it's not all in her head. So good for him.
Thanks, Charlie.
And then, not content with being patronising about Claire behind her back, Jack goes to talk to Claire and be patronising to her face instead.
I'm always on board with the Jack hate, but I didn't find him to be that problematic this episode. I feel like he has a point that, like, the night before she also woke up screaming from this, like, really horrific nightmare, and took a really long time to calm down. She's in like an extremely distressing situation for someone to be like heavily pregnant in. She's close to giving birth. She has no medical support around her. She has no like social support around her. It is like a really distressing time. And like, wouldn't be that strange if she was having weird nightmares about someone hurting her baby, or like, and I mean, he knows that in her previous nightmare, she was so upset that she like dug her fingernails into her hands until she bled. Like, there's not a normal behavior. And like giving her sedatives, I sort of think like, yeah, like maybe that's, you know, from a medical clinical point of view, you would be thinking in those terms.
Well, I'm going to make a bold choice here, and we're going to have a mid-episode Connor's Corner, because he only had notes about this very scene. So we'll take a trip there now.
If you want aviation or medical information, welcome to Connor's Corner.
So the first principle of medicine is autonomy of the patient, and like getting them on side and not just like patronizing them or condescending them or telling them what they need to do, and actually like communicating with, like, it's effective communication is having them on your side, and it's basically like bedside manner. And so Connor was like,
famously
yeah,
not Jack's strong point.
Exactly. Connor's like, yeah, give her a sedative, because yes, the symptoms that she's experiencing are she is stressed, she is anxious, that could be dangerous for the baby, but give it to her and say to, like, explain what you've done, and explain that Hurley and Charlie have searched the area, they haven't found anything, but then also reassure and be like, we're not saying that it's not real, we're not saying that you're making it up, but A, you have been sleepwalking, B, you have been having nightmares, and C, you are currently in a state of heightened anxiety and stress. Therefore, regardless of what's happening with this man, that we can keep searching, we can keep seeing if we'll find someone who's hurting you, but as of right now, your baby is at risk from your emotional state. Therefore, here's some sedatives for you. So in conclusion, Connor is a much better medic than Jack. Get Connor on the island.
Connor would be like going around saying to people, we should all be a paste. Do you understand me?
Anyway, Claire is like, absolutely fuck this. I'm leaving. I'm going back to the beach. I don't quite know why she thinks the beach. I guess it's just psychological that she thinks the beach is better because she wasn't attacked at the beach but has been attacked at the cave. But she gets up and says she's leaving. Charlie catches up with her as she's walking back through the forest.
Actually, she probably has a point, because on the beach, at least there's like nowhere to hide.
That's true, actually, because like around the caves, you're like in the trees, so you can like, and it's shady and dark. Whereas on the beach, you probably have to leg it quite far, or like reasonably far. If someone immediately wakes up, they'll see you running back towards the jungle.
Yeah, it'd be a lot harder to just disappear into the undergrowth. Yeah.
Anyway, she starts getting like angry with Charlie and being like, you just want to rescue me because I'm pregnant, but I'm fine. And then suddenly she has a contraction.
And, I mean, fair points to Charlie. He keeps his cool in a crisis. He's like, we have to count them. I've seen it on telly or whatever. He's like, 1 sugar plum fairy, 2 sugar plum fairy.
Yeah, his sugar plum fairy counting is beautiful. I love it. Also, I don't know how I feel about Charlie, because on one hand, yeah, you're right, and he sort of keeps his cool, but I think he's also panicking and is like talking more to himself and sort of like disregarding Claire being there, and is just like, okay, we need to count, and if I can kick drugs, I can deliver a baby, and we can do this, it's all going to be fine.
Focus on himself. He's like, I can do this. It's going to be, and it's just sort of like, well, this is not really about you. Obviously, eventually she's just like, Charlie, get Jack, you dickhead.
I mean, I think she reaches that point when he says, if I can kick drugs, I can deliver a baby. And then he's like, I was a drug addict. I'm clean now.
It's not really the time for this conversation.
Yeah. And Charlie, you gave up drugs like a week ago. I think recovery tends to take a little bit longer than that. I mean, obviously, we've expedited the process for the sake of the show, but
yeah, then he's jumping, legging it along through the jungle. Luckily, he runs into Ethan.
That is lucky indeed.
He can send to go and get Jack instead. And
yeah.
Ethan dashes off, doing something.
So anyway, Charlie goes back to find Claire, and this is when she tells him all about the psychic. And I do think it's interesting that, as I said, I think she believed the psychic, and I think she believed that something bad, and that's why she was on the plane. It's interesting that then it hasn't occurred to her until now that he may have known about the crash, because she says to Charlie, like, he was full of it.
It was all a crock of shit, yeah.
Yeah. And Charlie
is like, yeah,
maybe
what was she really thinking about this? That like, so after all that, I guess she was like taking him at face value that these people who she was going to meet in LA were supposed to be the child's parents. And so she was sort of saying, but after all that, he didn't know anything because, look, I ended up here. And that's when the penny starts to drop of being like, or maybe he did.
I've ended up here raising the baby that he told me I had to raise.
Yeah. And Charlie's extremely, like, cheesy dialogue line of going, if he had the gift, and I believe some people do. I was just like, shut the fuck up, Charlie.
I mean, this is like...
It's giving us a bit more depth of like Charlie's spiritual beliefs, I suppose.
I was going to say, we did see him in church.
Guy.
He was confessing his sins, his relations.
Catholics not traditionally big on psychics, so it's giving some complexity to his spiritual and religious beliefs.
Fair enough. Anyway, then in all this drama, suddenly the contractions stop, and they're like, "Oh well, I guess we'll go now.
Let's just walk to Jack."
Yeah, and this, I know, it's quite sweet when he says to her, like, I told you I'd take care of you. And she's very quickly moved on from the whole recovering drug addict thing and is like, oh yeah, everything's fine now. So, good
I guess that's just a conversation for another day. She hasn't really accepted him as the surrogate father of her baby, which is what Charlie's aiming for. So maybe she's just thinking, we don't need to get into that.
Okay. Shall we go into the B plot and the census?
Yeah, let's get into the B plot.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, thinking of this and like the form of television in that the B plot doesn't really come up until like halfway through the episode. Like, often, like a lot of the last few episodes we've had, there have been like quite an obvious A plot and B plot almost from the outset, whereas here it's more like the B plot is sort of like a diversion halfway through. But anyway, Hurley comes to see Jack after they've been doing their hunting for Claire's attacker and tells her that everyone was asleep. Nobody saw anything. And that's funny when he's like, I'm out here looking for some psycho with Scott and Steve. And I'm thinking, who the hell are Scott and Steve? And I'm like, that's very meta commentary on the show of being
Absolutely.
Like, I'm with these random people. Who the fuck are these random people? The same way
and
we, the
like,
audience,
we don't know who Scott and Steve are either.
Yeah.
Hit the Scott and Steve jingle. Which one is Scott and which one is Steve? You say you know the difference. I don't believe you. Which one is Steve and which one is Scott? You say you know the difference. No, you do not. My note about that was like, don't worry about it, Hurley. No one knows who they are. It's fine. It's going to be a running joke. But yes, it's a valid point. Like, you know, I think, does he reference at some point in the episode they've been on the island for 2 weeks? Yeah, Hurley says, sorry, dude, lots of names and faces. It's pretty pathetic how you'd think after a couple of weeks on the island with the same people we'd all know each other. So it has only been a couple of weeks. Also, lol. Ethan's like, yeah, you're right. You would think so. Creepy ass fucking dude. But he is very much like, yeah, you guys are fucking shit at this.
So Hurley decides he's going to start a census. He's going to go and talk to everyone. And again, perfect compliment to the spooky foreshadowing supernatural shit. Hurley going around doing like a funny job, having some funny exchanges with people.
There were some really nice moments in all of this. I agree, some really good bits.
So the first person we see him talk to is Locke. What is Locke doing? Because Locke, first of all, he's using a child's shoe, which like is quite ingenious to use a shoe as like a little sand shaker. And I was like, oh, maybe he's like salting it to try and dry this boar skin ? Out. But then he gets some aloe and like rubs the aloe over, and I'm like, surely that's making it more damp and moist. So I didn't really understand what he was trying to achieve here.
Didn't give it a second thought. I was like, he's sanding something, all right. Locke knows what he's doing. I thought it was really funny how Hurley was just so scared of Locke. He was like, I'm gonna ask the questions, but I'm gonna just accept the first answer again and not ask any follow-up questions and then run away.
I mean, it's interesting you say he was scared of him. I didn't get scared. I got sort of like when you were saying the mind of Jack cannot comprehend a Hurley. I don't know if the mind of Hurley can comprehend a Locke. When Hurley's like, why were you in Australia? I was looking for something. Did you find it? No, it found me. And Hurley just being like, I
He's like,
don't know
cool,
what to do with that.
Cool,
He's like,
cool. The way that he has his little paper and he's like, looking for something. Great, got that. He's like...
But yeah, I think it's mutual because Locke also, after he says that and Hurley's just like, sure, Locke's like, someone sounds sort of deflated when he's like, anything else? As though like he wanted something back from Hurley to have some like spiritual connection.
I was being really weird and mystical. Come on, guy. And he amazingly, when he is leaving Locke and he like just latches onto another woman, is like, hey, can I talk to you? I know I already spoke to you. I just need to get away from him.
So next we see him going to Ethan, shaking his bananas.
Who isn't terrifying or suspicious at all.
No. We get his full name, Ethan Rom, an anagram for other man.
They really weren't putting the effort in, were they?
No. Maybe he should have been an other. Anyway.
They could have given him a surname that was actually a surname. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Rom.
Yeah.
CD-ROM.
Yes, that is a usage of the word Rom.
That's what he got called by the other kids on the playground in Otherville.
So it's funny because this scene was when Connor was like, there's something weird about that guy. Why is Hurley acting like Connor thought Hurley was acting weird around Ethan and leaving. And I had to be like, ooh, I don't know. Nothing. And he was like, oh, maybe he knows his name isn't, he doesn't recognize his name. Maybe he recognizes his name as being someone else. There's something weird about it. And then I watched it again and I was like, I think Connor was just being hypersensitive because I think actually by this point, Hurley had his like weird interaction with Locke. And I think now Hurley is like, I'm not doing that with anyone else. I'm not asking people why they came. I'm just going to get the basic details and then be like, well, that's enough. Bye.
They have a bit of a back and forth about, oh, you're Lance. No, I'm not Lance. Lance has red hair. So they kind of like frame it in a way that is supposed to be kind of more lighthearted and it's classic. You know, it's like the Stephen Scott stuff. Like, oh, I don't even know these guys. But I do agree that Ethan comes into it with quite a sort of tense energy. The way that he sort of like rounds off the conversation by being like, what are you doing? Why are you asking these questions? And that again is balanced out by the fact that we have other people who we already know on the island who also are like, why are you asking these questions?
Yeah.
So the interaction as a whole isn't inherently suspicious, but once you know that Ethan is dodgy and you watch that scene again, you're like, oh, the signs are everywhere.
So we next see Hurley go to find Shannon and Boone. And this is where, like you say, Boone is then asking why they're doing the census.
It's a nice little topical reference to the Patriot Act. You don't remember that, I guess, because you were a child, but everyone was talking about the Patriot Act in 2004. It's just one of those like far-reaching anti-terrorist laws that was like, encroaching on everyone's civil liberties. They're probably still in place today, I would assume. That's generally how these things go. But Shannon's iconic, and she's wearing a really nice blue outfit that really suits her. And after hearing about Claire getting attacked, she says, I am so not moving to the rape caves, which is just like...
I mean,
yeah.
You also missed her iconic response to the census.
Oh, sure. Her address.
Name, Shannon Rutherford. Age, 20. Address, Crap Hole Island.
Yeah, it is iconic.
So yeah, Boone gives him the fantastic idea to cross-reference his census with the manifest. And then tells him, who do you think has the manifest? I don't understand why Sawyer would have it, because we've sort of established that Sawyer keeps things sort of either for his own selfish uses that he wants, or to try and like bargain with people.
I think it's a useful thing to have, and therefore he sees that it has value, and therefore he is going to hoard it. It just sort of made sense, because it's like he's kind of the only one who has like a home on the beach, I guess. He has his whole little setup, and he has his like suitcases and boxes full of shit. So yeah, I bought it. But I have to say, the interaction between Hurley and Sawyer, I loved every second of it. Yeah. It was such a high point of the episode for me. Like, both of them bringing their, like, wildly disparate energies to the table and just mashing them together. It was beautiful.
Also, Sawyer's sunglasses. Incredible stuff.
I loved it so much. The, like, cute little they're like a little girl's colourful sunglasses combined with his, like, floppy hair and his dimple, and I was just like, oh yeah, Sawyer.
Yeah, Sawyer.
The way that Hurley comes down and sits next to him and he's like, I'm just gonna lay it out straight. That's the first thing he says to Sawyer. There's no, like, initially, oh hi, oh, I'm just gonna lay it out straight. And Sawyer's like, okay, you do that. And Hurley says, normally when someone asks for something, you tell them to screw off. He's like, screw off. But Hurley, bless him, can't even really bring himself to swear. And then, you know, Hurley just, like, you know, his goodness is shining through, where he's like, you could just give it to me because, dude, you could use the points. You know, like, why not just, like give yourself one small win on this big crazy island. And even when Sawyer calls him Stay Puffed as a fucking fat phobic insult, Hurley is just like, whatever, like, I'm not gonna make a thing of it right now. I'm asking for help, you're helping me, we can just get through this and it's fine.
Yeah. I do think it's quite the Stay Puft thing. I think this is watching it this time is the first time I've, like, picked up on him saying that. I do like the way they write Sawyer with these, like, his nicknames being so flippant that, like, they're not like highlighted, they're not emphasized. A lot of times they're not commented upon. They're just, like, there, and if you hear it, that's great. If you don't, like, he's almost not even saying it to be antagonistic, because he doesn't want to be like, I just want to make sure you've heard that I've called you fat. He's just like, yeah, whatever, Stay Puffed.
Yeah, and it's also like, he's like, at this point I have to just maintain my personal brand, which is insulting people all the time, so can't stop now.
So then Hurley is running through the jungle. Hurley comes running up to Jack and says they have a problem, and typical Jack is, like, not really interested in listening to him, and Hurley's like, Jack, one of the names wasn't in the manifest. He wasn't on the plane.
Smash cut to Ethan in the
Smash
jungle.
cut to Ethan. And ominously just saying, hello. Charlie wants to know where Jack is. Claire is frowning. And this is where I was like, I wonder why at this point she's frowning.
Maybe it's his really, like, creepily calm way of saying hello.
I guess. And the fact that Charlie is like, where is Jack? And he's like...
Yeah, and also that he is just such a fucking creep. His face, I'm sorry to this man that I have to insult your face, but, like, he gives it, like, his performance as Ethan is so convincing, and it's so upsetting because, he just makes my stomach turn. Is it time to do the miscellaneous stuff?
I think so. Just a couple of small miscellaneous things. The first one I just wanted to quickly talk about is that scene at the beginning.
Between Jack and Kate.
I thought her line of being like, I'm doing something, I'm sinking, was so stupid.
Oh, I liked it. I didn't like Jack when the way he came in hot with like this is a first, you standing still doing nothing. It's like, Jack, why you always gotta be like negging her about like, oh, you're always running around, you're always off doing stuff. Like, yeah, give her a break. If Jack has no haters, I'm dead. No, I thought it was nice with her sinking, and that she's like she says that she used to do it with her mum, right? That they
yeah. Well, so I liked the idea of it. I just thought the phrasing and the dialogue of like, I'm doing something, I'm sinking.
And like, he's like, I guess you want to sink your way right off the island, so you to be proud. It's like, Jack, not everything is about you.
I thought the sink your way off the island was quite funny, to be fair.
Okay, we cannot
just do
meet
different
each other
people
on this bit. I also had the thought, who is doing the laundry on the island? Because Jack's t-shirt, apart from being extremely sweaty, it's not dirty, it's quite clean. So I guess at this point maybe they're still cycling through the like luggage clothes. But someone,
I was assuming they're just washing their own clothes in the ocean. Just, like, we've definitely seen, is it Kate? like dipping things in the ocean and like wringing out a shirt. So I've sort of assumed it was like every man for himself, because I don't know if anyone is going to volunteer and be like, give me all of your dirty, sweaty clothes.
Fair enough. Well, I would hope not, but I mean, some of the men on this show, I don't trust them to be doing their laundry.
I really love this idea. Jack says he's bringing down water, taking back some fish, and I love this idea of them having this little like market trade of he's like, we've got water over here, you've got fish, we give you some water, you give us some fish.
Yeah.
I thought that was very,
I mean,
very
I
cute.
think I read that a bit differently as being more like, we've settled into our routine. This is part of my day-to-day routine. It's like, bring down the water, bring back the fish. And it kind of like brought me back to the boring bananas thing about like, we've all kind of accepted our new reality here.
Yeah.
A nutritious
sort of, like,
rounded diet is boring bananas, and a regular sort of like day-to-day job is bring down water, bring back fish. Before that, he does bring up Saeed, and we talked a bit earlier about how he said Saeed's been gone for almost a week. I just think it's really rude of Jack to be so like nonchalant in the way he brings up Saeed to Kate, because I don't know, like, we've had a few conversations about whether Saeed was supposed to be framed as like an additional suitor for Kate or not. But I think Jack definitely has some like weird jealousy vibes about it, because he's all like, oh yeah, well, Saeed would be proud of you. And she's like genuinely worried about Saeed's well-being and safety in a way that Jack like 100% is not. She's like, why are you joking about this? He's been gone for almost a week. We don't know what happened to him. He could be anywhere. And he's just like, oh, Saeed will look after himself. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, well, it's okay, because Saeed comes back in this episode. So at the very end, Saeed comes back. Jack comes and looks at his leg.
He's really like hobbling. He's had a rough time coming back from Rousseau's place. And he's also like really dehydrated. And he's just like, we're not alone. There's others. And it's like a kind of inconvenient that it's exactly when Hurley needs Jack's attention to say them.
Yeah. It's like, you do have both have important things to say.
But it's interesting that Saeed says specifically that he had to come back because he had to tell them that they're not alone on the island. It kind of implies that if it hadn't been for that information, he would have like continued his kind of mission, or like his being away from the group, which, I mean, we know that he left as a sort of like self-punishment for doing the torture, but he also said he wanted to map the island, and now he just got to steal a map of Rousseau, so it's kind of like job done.
He just has some maps, so that was found a cheat code. Locke is looking very suspicious in the back. Like, when Saeed says he found Rousseau, they like linger on Locke in the background, and he's sort of like frowning and looks quite suspicious. And I was wondering if we're meant to read anything into that, or if they were just like, maybe we'll investigate this alleyway.
I think we're always meant to be feeling a bit ambiguous about Locke. The show really doesn't want to let us sit in like an easy place with regard to him. I guess that's probably also true about the scene where Hurley is interviewing him about his reasons for being on the island. It's like he is still like mystical, spooky guy.
Well, I think that's it, Helen.
That might be it.
We've covered a whole episode. Good job, us.
We have a hot ranking to do.
We do have a hot ranking.
I can also tell you that this episode did not pass the backdoor test. At no time did two women talk to each other.
Well, counterpoint, Claire's friend. However, they were talking about a man.
And what was the friend's name? I'll check, but I don't think she gets name. Nope.
Okay.
Then it doesn't pass.
Well. I mean, yeah, also they were only talking about the psychic, who is a man. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Hot ranking. Hot can be physical, hot can be emotional. Hot is whatever we decide, and everyone's attractive, but who's top of the ranking? Who's the hottest one on this island?
Easy choice for me.
Yeah?
It's Sawyer.
Yeah.
He's looking incredibly hot.
He's looking... It's the glasses. The sunglasses are really the cherry on top. And I have to say, so I actually gave some thought to my hot ranking choice. And like, I wanted to pick Sawyer for the same reason that you said, but then I also wanted to pick Hurley because I just love their little dynamics so much. And I felt that they like... Hurley has such a moment of being emotionally hot in his dealings with Sawyer that I was like, I kind of thought if you pick Sawyer, then I'll pick Hurley. So here we are.
Okay, well, here we are.
We need to move Sawyer up the rankings then, because he's currently in 6th place. Should we just push him right up to the top? Because I was kind of thinking I was going to pick him as well.
Yeah, okay, let's bump Sawyer right up to the top.
And Hurley, I guess... Oh, Hurley actually got onto the ranking last week.
Yeah. I think I'd move him up 1, perhaps.
Okay.
Because I think Shannon and Boone have had multiple nominations as well.
That's fair. Then the hot ranking, as it stands after this episode, is Sawyer, Saeed, Sun, Charlie, Kate, Claire, Boone, Shannon, Hurley, Michael.
That sounds perfect to me. Well, that'll be our episode. Don't forget, if you want to reach out to us, we would love to hear from you. If you've got Lost-related questions, comments, feedback, you can email us directly at dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Dharma Fish Biscuits Pod or on TikTok at Dharma Fish Biscuits.
You can also leave us a review. Please do. On Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever other crazy little place you might be receiving our podcast. And we are very, very grateful for the ratings that we've received. 5 stars, yes. Write a little something as well about why you enjoy the podcast, because people love to see it. And even better, if you're enjoying the pod, recommend it to a friend who likes Lost or is considering watching Lost for the first time, because that's what we're here for.
Our next episode will be out in 2 weeks. We'll be discussing episode 11, All the Best Cowboys Have Daddy Issues, an episode that is much better than its awful, awful title.
I like the title.
Well, it's good to have differing opinions, isn't it? Until next time, I'll see you in another life, Helen.
See you in another life, brother.